I'm Laura Lawson. You're listening to The Wine Crush and some great advice from Miss Coco Taylor herself. But that is exactly what you're doing when you're out in Napa Valley. You are letting the good times roll. And as we are talking about insider tips to make your trip to Napa outstanding, I have a secret guest with us today, and that is Mr. Rob Renteria. He is the wine director for the Martini House, probably my favorite restaurant out in the valley, located in St. Helena. And he is joining us today to tell us all about fun stuff he does with his wine list. Rob, welcome to The Crush.
Hi, nice to talk to you again.
It's nice to talk to you, too. For our listeners, I had warned them I had been out in Napa and told them I had been dropping in places, and you're one of the few people I shanghaied.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I'm really happy to be, just chatting with your listeners, just giving any kind of insight that I can.
That's what we like to hear. Today we're talking about visiting the valley, but something I want to focus on since you're on the phone. For those of you who listen to the show, you know I kind of have a sardonic tape on the whole world of wine. This is probably one of the best written, neatest wine lists I have seen. It is laid back. It encourages you to investigate. Rob, tell us how you come up with this great wine list at the Martini House.
Well, I thank you, by the way. And, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I'm a fairly laid-back person, and, the whole idea is just to have fun. And when I first arrived at the restaurant, the list was listed in a very different kind of manner in which it is now, and I just kind of wanted to reinvent the wheel and kind of be able to list things how I kind of view them in my own dyslexic kind of way of thinking, so to speak, and we also wanted to add a little bit of humor to it as well. My first assistant that I had when I was first there, her name is Amanda Reed, and she was great, and we both were like musicians in which we riffed off one another as far as our sense of humor was concerned. So I think that's been one of the best things, is just really not to take it too seriously and just go from there and just kind of add into it and so forth.
I think that's key for our listeners who are going to the valley or thinking about planning a trip out there. People are concerned when they go out there that it's all French Laundry, it's all this big fine dining, and everybody is going to take wine very seriously. And that's why I love you being part of the show, because you're kind of the antithesis of that. You show that wine's just part of a lifestyle. It's to be enjoyed and to be savored, not to be worshipped.
Yeah, it's really, it's weird. Being up here, I think also, too, is that when I moved up here, I moved from San Francisco, and my attitude was a little bit, I'm very much an insider here, but I feel very much like an outsider just because I did move from San Francisco and whatnot, and it's very locals only here and so forth, and I don't know, it's just really weird. I've never really felt like I kind of have to play by the rules here and so forth, much to the consternation, I guess, of the locals themselves. So
that's what we like to hear.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice to be able to, have fun with the list and not be so committed to having to do things and so forth. Everybody's runs a restaurant in their own wine list the way that they see to it and so forth. But I think a lot of that has to do with the chef as well. He's got a great chef. Todd Humphreys has a great sense of humor, and we kind of rip off one another, and nothing is too sacred for us to try and pull the curtains back and make it see how it really works. So, yeah.
That's always a favorite. For our listeners, the Martini House is a restaurant located in St. Helena. Rob, do you want to touch a bit on your cuisine and the history of the house?
Sure, yeah. Martini House it's an old craftsman style house in architecture, and it dates back to the early 20s of the early 1920s, and the original inhabitant was Charles Walter Martini, and he was in exile from San Francisco after the 1906 earthquake, and he made his house. That was his house, and he was also the proprietor at a hotel just across the street called the William Tell Hotel. And,
so we have martinis and we have William Tell. Does that mean you have apple martinis?
We do have apple martinis, exactly.
Yeah, and for our listeners, I think a lot of people go up to St. Helena and they say, oh, the Martini House, there's not going to be wine there. But now you know it's totally a misnomer. It's just the name of a man, not the name of a drink.
Right, and no, and we do have a lot of cocktails as well. So
I didn't notice that at all, really.
Yeah, well, that's good. You know, it's as I said, it's something for everybody. That's what the name of the restaurant refers to as Walter Martini. The restaurant is owned and operated by Pat Coletto Restaurant Group, and he's also he designed the building as well, or the interior, and he has a few restaurants in San Francisco. And then our chef is Todd Humphreys, and Chef Todd was the chef at the Campton Place in San Francisco before he moved up here.
So we definitely have a great pedigree between your wine background and between Chef Humphreys. We definitely encourage our listeners to go and visit the Martini House. And, Rob, I'm going to have to sweet talk you and have you back on the show because I want to tell our listeners down the road about the Sommelier Smackdown.
Oh, yeah. You can see how that goes. That's actually tonight. And not to rub it into the face of your readers.